Hey everyone, Anna O'Connell with OC Publishing here, and welcome to the author journey. I must say I'm very excited to have come back a little earlier than usual from my summer hiatus. Last week was great, and like I said, we have a bit of a trend right now of thriller, crime, mystery writers, and that warms my heart because they're my people. But of course, I love all of you, so don't think I'm playing favorites. So today we have N.L. Blandford, who is a published author of 3 dark psychological thrillers: The Perilous Road to Her, The Perilous Road to Freedom, and The Perilous Road to Him, along with a lighthearted comedy. Now that'll be interesting to talk about the difference in writing these. A thriller inspired by the iconic Canadian characters Bob and Doug McKenzie. Take off, eh? Called The Great Bloody North. Her newest release, Escaping Victoria, is a commercial thriller exploring the fictional Nova Scotia crime syndicate known as The Family. She is the Canadian ambassador for the Alliance of Independent Authors, where she advocates to dismantle the stigma of indie publishing. We'll join that bandwagon for sure. She is also a member of the Writers' Federation of Nova Scotia, Crime Writers of Canada, and Sisters of Crime. N.L. Blandford moved from Alberta in 2023 and resides outside Lunenburg, where she's building a life of a dream exploration with her husband, mild-mannered dog Watson, and 2 mischievous cats, Loki and Lulu. Boy, she sounds like my kind of person. So I'm going to bring N.L. Natasha up to join me. Hi, Natasha. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. What does it feel like listening to your bio when people are introducing you?
It is a little weird to think that I've published that many novels in a short time, but also I just love hearing about my pets.
Oh, you know what? It's so funny you hone in on that, because when I first read the bio, like when I was, printing stuff out, and I'm like, her husband's name is Watson? Her husband is a dog named Watson? It's like, I'm like, oh, okay, there's commas here. And I love it. I have a cat named Ollie, so I totally understand. Do you weave any of them into your storylines?
No, I don't think I've had pets yet, because
Okay.
I don't want to touch the pets.
Yes, I understand. And to my apologies, I am almost to the end of your newest book, Escaping Victoria, and I'm loving it. And one of the comments that I saw on Amazon was that you are the queen of the cliffhanger.
Yes.
How did that feel?
It's pretty awesome. And sometimes my friends will text me, or random readers will email and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you, ... insert spoiler here. And it's the next book coming out. I need to know what happens. So I don't know. It just naturally happens.
Isn't that funny? Oh, that's great. And so one of your bio comments was that you are a crime writer by day. And as I dug a little deeper, saw that you're a fraud investigator. Tell us about that.
Yes, crime fighter by day, crime writer by night.
I love it.
I investigate fraud for a bank. So I do the internal investigations, which means that I investigate the employees who are committing fraud and or other breaches of our code of conduct. And I've been doing that. I've been with the bank for 20 years, but doing that investigation for 10. And it's interesting. You learn a lot about the human psyche.
Oh, I bet. And so how much of that do you sort of weave into your writing, your crime writing?
I think I take the psychological aspects of learning about the human mind into it, because I feel like it would probably be a conflict of interest, and I'd then be investigated if I write about crime investigating. So I take a step back there, but one day maybe when I'm no longer.
But I think you've hit the nail right on the head, because I think that a crime writer, mystery writer, thriller writer, the majority of the suspense or and I suppose it's with any genre, but this in particular is the psyche of not only the perpetrator of whatever crime you're writing about, but the victims as well. How do you find that comes into play?
Oh, I thrive on building characters that people can relate to, even the villains. I've often, with my first series, that one, The Perilous Road to Her, and the subsequent books are about human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
Get very dark. But everyone that has given me feedback has said, William, who's the villain,
Mm-hmm.
I love him, but I hate him. But I hate to love him. Why? And I'm writing a prequel about all the events in his life that made him who he was, just to give more to his story. But
Mm-hmm.
diving deep and making them real is big for me, because readers connect with the characters, right? If they don't connect with the characters, they're probably not going to connect with the story, even though you might have a great theme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you can't connect to
Absolutely. The people. So would you say your books are character driven or plot driven?
Ooh, I would say character, because I don't plot as much. I don't really plot out the storyline as much, and I just let my characters take me where they want to go. And then sometimes what I thought might happen doesn't end up in the book. So I
love that. I love that. Or things you would never have imagined. All of a sudden you're writing and going, oh, right? And I always say you can't have one without the other. But most writers will lean into, one more than the other. And then like in your second, third, fourth draft, you're fleshing the other out, would you say?
Yes, I agree. Most of my first draft is all dialogue. What are the characters saying to each other? And then I put in the scenery and all of the other things, right?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm very dialogue heavy. I want to give a shout out to the folks who are watching today and welcome you to the live. If you're watching pre-taped, doesn't mean you can't make comments, but I want to say hi. Deanna Stephanie is with us. Hi, Deanna. Another sort of thriller writer, a little on the darker supernatural side. And she said she's a fellow pantser. I love that. And Sarah Butland has joined us. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for tuning in. So she says 100%, it's almost always character to me. They need to be relatable and believable for me to connect and care. Oh, yes. And if you've read Sarah's books, they're characters that could be very near and dear to my heart anyway. And Sarah's 100% pantser. I cannot fathom interviewing my characters or knowing how the story will end before the characters get there. Which I love. I love it too. And when I was writing my last book, there was one character, sort of as I was sort of thinking through everything, I was going to kill her off in like the first couple of chapters. She was going to be found in a dumpster. And then she wound up like being like a central character and staying right to the bitter end. So
for The Perilous Road to Him, I had a completely different villain in mind, which is known as the stranger in the book until the big reveal. But I just wanted to punch them so bad while I was writing them. Like, if I don't like this character, I don't think my readers will like this character. So the villain is now this person.
Yeah.
I'm rewriting because the personalities were different, but like, I can't do this for a full book. Nope.
That is so funny. And I have to say, I'm more of a pantser myself, but I in my mind, I write almost the whole thing in my head before I sit down, which I think is a lot of fun. So talk about one of the things that is your focus is bringing awareness to social issues. And why is that important to you? And you mentioned human trafficking for the first series. Like, how did that come about?
I believe I got the idea for that book. It's either 2016 or 2018 when we weren't really talking about it, especially in Canada. And I don't know where the idea came from to do this, the storyline of one sister trying to find the other. But I did see a person who had been trafficked in Canada speak at a fraud conference. And so it just moved me on to dive deeper and do some more research and actually write the book. So she was speaking because law enforcement, you can kind of see or identify victims by the fact that they don't have debit cards or credit cards. They're mostly using cash. There might be someone else hovering around the bank when they're there because they're controlling the money, kind of thing. So that was her perspective of how can you maybe identify it through police or the banks and stuff like that. So that's where that kind of kicked off, and it was supposed to be one book, and then I ended on a cliffhanger. Warning.
Right. Spoiler alert. No.
And then I'm like, well, I can't have 2 books in a series. I have to have a third one.
Right. I'm right there with you. Right. So it's kind of interesting. We have a lot of parallels because when I wrote my first deep mystery, I had no intent for it to be a series until a fellow, writing group member said, this could be a series, she could be like an amateur detective. And I'm like, oh, could I really? Oh, maybe I could. Right. So it just kind of spools from there. So talk a little bit about what that transition, like what sparked it. So I'm just going to bring up these. So these are the first 3 perilous books. And of course, we want all our books are available on Amazon, but also on your website. I'll pull that up in a minute. But talk about how it did become a trilogy.
Oh, because I pants, I wrote the ending and I thought, oh, this is, I don't want to give a spoiler away, but big crescendo moment. This is going to be how it ends. And then I'm like, or there's going to be a knock on her door a little later and boom. This is what actually going to happen, which then book 2 starts immediately following book 1. And then, and with book 3, it takes place 18 years later. So I wanted to explore how the PTSD of being in the human trafficking syndicate affected her and her family and how she relates to other people. So that's where I came up with the 3rd book, The Perilous Road to Him.
I think that's such an important topic because, people in Canada really had no clue that it can be happening right under your nose.
Oh my gosh. It mostly happens in your neighborhood and you don't even know it because people are so used to, like, you're going to be kidnapped and you're going to be transported elsewhere. Well, that's the number one myth. And I say that in my author's note in the first book, because as much as I did my research, I took online courses and I did things like that. I didn't need to get Olivia from point A to point B. So she was kidnapped. Not a spoiler, it's on the back of the book.
Right.
So I had to use that myth. But we don't know. And just like Nova Scotia is the number 1 province in Canada where human trafficking happens. Like, it is our highest crime, and the highest amount of human trafficking occurs in Nova Scotia. Although I wasn't in Nova Scotia when I wrote this, but
isn't that wild? So let's shift gears just a little bit. And as I said, then people can actually purchase your book on your website as well. Let me bring that up again. And you're donating some of your royalties to charity, which is awesome. Selling books is a tough business. I can say that from personal experience. And the fact that you're willing to donate some of your proceeds to charity is wonderful. What kind of charity are you supporting?
So right now I do Ali Global, which is a Canadian charity who supports victims or survivors of human trafficking and gives them housing. They do some support all over the globe, but I wanted to make sure it was a Canadian company that I was supporting for sure.
Excellent. So, and you have some trigger warnings here, around human trafficking and kidnapping, which can, like you said, cause people to have warning. Have you had anybody tell you that it's been difficult to read, or?
A little bit. And I did have a sensitivity reader who had experienced physical and sexual abuse read the book. And my cousin is a social worker, and she read it. And some people will say, yeah, that scene was really difficult. Like, I don't hold back. So there are triggering sexual abuse scenes in the first book, and some physical violence in the second one. But they're like, but I was so gripped to the story that, yes, it was disturbing at the time, but it just added to the level of darkness that I wrote about.
Yeah. And you make a really good point, and alluded to it earlier when you said, the villain that you hadn't expected to become the villain, all of a sudden you were hating him when you were writing, and the scenes that really gave you visceral experiences. It's like if I'm writing or editing a book and the scene brings me to tears, I'm like, oh, that's it, we've got it, kind of thing. So if you've got the feels, chances are your readers will too. So I'm just gonna just scroll down that page. It's the buy page, and then there's direct clicks to purchase the book. So I encourage everybody to visit Natasha's website. So would you like to do a reading from one of your books?
Oh, sure. We can do a quick one from Escaping Victoria, my newest.
Yay.
Just like a page and a little bit.
That would be wonderful. Take it away.
Chapter 1. So this book is written in dual timelines. So there's then and now. And the Emily, who was 6, gets kidnapped and becomes Victoria. Not a spoiler. It's on the back of the book. She grows up in the fictional Nova Scotia mob. And so chapter 1 is in the now timeline. And it's come home, he's dead. The message could refer to one of 2 men in Victoria's life. One, she'll feel relief, albeit complicated relief. The other, she'll be devastated. With the constant discarding of burner phones to avoid law enforcement or enemies encroaching on the strict confines of the family, Victoria doesn't recognize who sent the text message. It definitely wasn't a member of her security team. The unknown sends her on a roller coaster of emotions. A fog masks her vision and she falls back on the bed. Her training kicks in, and she heaves methodical inhales and exhales to bring her heartbeat back to a normal range. The fog dissipates. She raises her phone. The 4 words burrow into her eyes. Her future changed, for better or for worse, with one message. Victoria's shaking finger hovers over the call button. Her stomach is in a vice, and with each breath it tightens. She decides it's better to lock the phone than make the call. The dreadful message disappears, but is not forgotten. Her surroundings back in focus, she pushes herself off the bed, grabs her smooth plastic room key, and heads for a place of refuge, the hotel bar. Victoria grips her phone as though letting it go would unleash whatever secret it holds. She has become a professional at avoidance. Avoidance of feelings, avoidance of reality. She doesn't want to know if white satin will cushion the one person she can't bear to see in a coffin.
Ooh. Well, like I said, I'm probably, I'd say 3/4 of the way through. I told you where I was at in the book. Would that be accurate? And I'm like, it was like, oh my gosh, it's 3:30. I want to read more. So really, I agree. You are a queen of cliffhangers. But you've also, obviously, you have a humorous side. I mentioned earlier this, the book that you did called The Great Bloody North. And I'm just going to bring this up in a minute. Tell us why the shift and how that came about.
So in the 3rd book, The Perilous Road to Him, I have a priest who is a little witty. And my sister-in-law said, this guy's funny. You should write comedy. And I said, challenge accepted. Why not? I'm going to try it. And so I wrote this comedic thriller, and I can't remember how it came about exactly, but I'm talking to my husband about ideas. I was like, what could I do? Maybe it'll be around Christmas. And Bob and Doug McKenzie came up. I was like, well, this is, I don't want to give the spoiler away, but hopefully people can connect Christmas and Bob and Doug McKenzie. But, so I'm like, well, I can kill people in quirky Canadian ways that isn't via a hockey stick or a Zamboni. And I did some research, and Moosehead beer is very prevalent in this book, which is very popular out east. It is not popular out west. But, well, now I have my calling card, and I did use A, like they say A after every sentence, not for long.
Yes, take off A.
Yeah, the bigger readers were like, And me, even, I was like, this is getting annoying. I cannot read a whole book where somebody says A all the time.
Oh, yeah, no. It's a little too much. But do they also like put their feet up on like a 2-4 of Keats?
No, although one character, Douglas, refuses to shave his Tom Selleck mustache because he just lives in the 80s. But he's kind of that laid back. He'll put his feet up on his desk at the police station. And Roberta's more like the cop from Fargo, where she's like, why won't you follow the rules? Right? Yeah, got the competing personalities. And yeah.
So then of course the next one was back to the serious, like the mob family. So which do you prefer to write? Which do you enjoy more?
Probably the darker stuff, only because, and this book came about because when I'm at markets, people are like, is it set in Nova Scotia? We need a book set in Nova Scotia. So then I'm like, well, now I have to write a book set in Nova Scotia.
You're right.
Well, let's write about the mob. And I did a lot of research in Canadian organized crime, and I'm like, okay, we're just going to make this fictional family and go with it. Although I do have an idea for the next book in the Hilford holiday series. I just need to find a holiday that centers around hockey.
Oh,
conveniently Canadian. It's
winter. It's kind of like the whole winter, right? So Deanna says, "Yay for bloody Christmas stories!"
Right? It's fun.
Yeah. Well, everybody like have a look at Deanna Stephanie's website and Sarah Butland. She's written some dark stuff like The Arm Farm, but so. With all of this amazing writing that you're doing, again, another parallel that I discovered about us is when I learn something, I like to teach it. So you also have writing workshops that you do. So tell us a little bit about those.
Oh my goodness. I approached my local library in Bridgewater to do some writing workshops. And so we started a series. Oh my gosh, when did we start them? Probably in the spring of last year, I think. Oh my gosh. And so I'd give one a month or something like that, just about like how to draft your novel or how to get started. And then you move into your character developments, and then you work into, you're scrolling, so it's great. This is great cue. What's my next one? And like self-editing, what to do before you hire an editor, things like that you can work into just writing a story, whether you want to publish it or not. But and help local authors in that way. And so I've been doing them at the local library, and now I'll be doing some in the fall at a different library in Lunenburg County. And then I'm booked back in Bridgewater for all of 2026. So lots of writing workshops if you're in the South Shore.
That's awesome. And of course, what I'm showing here, the breakdown of the workshops is on Natasha's website, nlblandford with a d.com. So make sure you check those out. So if you're doing all these workshops, are you fitting in some writing as well, and working full time? And like, you're amazing.
Secretly a robot taking over the world. No.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I've always been a go girl, but I'm not going to lie, launching Escaping Victoria, I went into a little bit of burnout, so I haven't written as much. That being said, I just got feedback I'm turning my novella that you can get for free when you sign up to my newsletter into a full-blown novel. So I just got feedback on that. And we'll be working on like draft 4 or 5 to get it out, hopefully by February. And then I have a writing retreat through the Writers' Fed of Nova Scotia at Gembliss Cottage in October, which I start writing book 2 in this series, because I finally figured out what this book 2 is going to be about. I know what book 3 is going to be about, but I didn't.
So you need something in the middle.
The timeline wouldn't work for the second book, but
I love it. Yeah. So talk with the last few minutes that we have left, as an indie author, you obviously take on a lot of roles and wear a lot of different hats. So talk about the pros and cons of doing it all yourself.
I would say if you're a highly organized person, it's great, which I am a highly organized person.
Detail-oriented, you love the spreadsheets.
Exactly. You have to become more extroverted than you probably want to be. I may appear very extroverted, but I'm in the middle. I prefer my alone time, And then, of course, the marketing hat, which nobody likes to wear, and I don't like to wear it either. But yeah, and I chose this path, like, it was COVID that I started writing. I'm like, life is short. This is just a bucket list item because it's going to be one book, like one book.
Then so you got bit by the bug.
Right? I have never pitched an agent or a publisher. I'm just like, I'm just going to I'm going to figure it out. I don't know. And with my job solving like financial crimes, I'm a puzzle solver. So I like to figure things out, and I don't know. So if you like to learn and watch a lot of YouTube videos on how to do things, or check out other authors' websites who do a lot of the indie publishing, what am I talking about? Newsletters and things like that.
Yep.
You can learn. There's a lot out there.
There sure is. And how important is it to have an email list?
I would say it's very important because those are your go-to people. And if, I don't know, if my website crashes or if Amazon somehow disappears, you can still get to people. So I would definitely encourage people to create their own newsletter. Even I only send mine out once a month.
I know. Me
Sometimes
too.
I only get it from other authors every 3 months.
I have to make sure that I've signed up for your newsletter, and everybody else sign up for that newsletter. I'm like sitting here thinking, I'm talking about the importance. So let's see. Sarah says the North Shore is a fabulous world of writers too, which is absolutely true. Pictou County, lots going on up there. Read by the sea. And Deanna says, say pros and cons to indie publishing. She says there are pros. Just kidding. We get so much freedom with what we write, and that's why I love it for sure. Sarah just signed up for your newsletter. Yay! We lead by example, and excellent. So she thinks there's a lot of pros as well as another indie author.
Yeah, and I'd say like if you are, it's very rare that you're a full-time author, and if you are, I envy you.
Bless you. Right.
Then my books are not paying those bills. So having that freedom to write whenever and not be stuck on a publication schedule that will further burn me out is the biggest perk for me, I think.
Right. So you're in the throes of launching. What are some of the things that you feel are key when launching a new book? And like how far out do you start promotions?
Not as far back as I should.
We all feel that way sometimes.
I think with this last one I did 2 months. Probably should start earlier than that. And this was the first time I actually had a launch party at the Tin Roof Distillery in Lunenburg. So because my first books were launched in COVID, I couldn't have a party. And I was like, I'm doing it this time. And we filled the place, and it was great to just celebrate the success.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And yeah, I forget where I was going with that. But also making sure you have early readers to get that feedback. As much as we don't sometimes like what they say.
You're biting our nails, waiting.
But sometimes I deliberately, again, with On the Perilous Road, I was like to my sister-in-law, what isn't working about this plot? I feel like I'm not doing William justice. What is missing? And she came back and she's like, oh my God, it's so good. So there's still some things to work out, but she's like, nope, you nailed it. We're good. So.
Excellent. Well, do you know what? When you start getting feedback, I don't know if there's going to be anything better than being the queen of cliffhangers.
No, and I did not pay that person.
Yeah. When I wrote my very first novel, which wasn't intended to be a novel, so it was like a total surprise. And I wrote it while I was in the midst of perimenopause, and it's called Mental Pause. And of course, it turned into a mystery because that's just what came out naturally. And somebody told me I had created the Menno mystery.
That's like, the stage of life I'm in now, so let's see what happens.
Okay, you should read Mental Pause. Yeah, that's my little plug here. So do you have any last little words of advice for any authors watching or even readers? I always say, please, readers, do reviews. But
yes, that is the big one. Please.
Yeah.
The gift you can give an author. For authors, I would just say, put it on paper. Your first draft is never going to be that great. I mean, maybe it will be, but it's rare that your first draft is going to be the last jewel. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just have fun with it. Because sometimes you can be like, oh, I'm so frustrated. Why won't this work? So maybe leave that scene or write it in a different setting altogether. Try something new and then come back to it and just have fun.
I love it. Yeah, and I mean, if it's something that you're happy about and it brings you joy 90% of the time, then, you know, I always say I write because I can't not write.
Yes.
Right. And yet Sarah says she's a big reviewer and she has been so supportive of my authors and myself, and just big shout out to those who do support one another. And you know what, you get a rising tide, we got to rise the boat evenly. So there's no downside to supporting a fellow author. So I am so excited to have had you on the show, Natasha, and to be a fellow crime writer of Canada. Thanks for reaching out, and congratulations on your new book. And happy to hear that there are more underway. So
yes.
Hope you'll come back.
Yes, and if I can make one little plug.
Absolutely.
Be in Halifax at Crime Will Tell. I'm on a panel with Charlene Carr and C.S. Porter. So that is September 6th, next week, 2 weekends from now, from 1 till 3, I think it is. So come out.
Yes, I have that on my calendar. So again, Crime Will Tell, September 6th at the main library, correct?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. And make sure that you visit NL Blandford's website, sign up for her newsletter, and say hi and do some reviews. So thanks again for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And thank you all for joining us today on the author journey. I had a lot of fun with that one. It's so nice to compare notes and hear what others are doing and encourage folks, and to just put that pen to paper. And of course, for the readers out there, you know, show your favorite authors some love. So for today, I'm going to sign off. Anne O'Connell with OC Publishing, and we'll see you next time on the author journey. Bye for now.